Many of you have asked me for the tutorial of this filet crochet shirt with the lotus flower on the back. Since I crocheted this project just for fun, I didn't think at all about its feasibility or reproducibility. I had warned you that if I ever made a pattern for it, it would necessarily be different from the original piece. The final result will be similar, but the beginning and the construction method will be different. In fact, the construction will be much simpler than you might think. So don't be disappointed that we won't have exactly the same steps as in the famous video that made this shirt popular. I started filming the white shirt with a butterfly on the back, but several other options came along during the process, which is why I also made the purple shirt. You can choose which features you would like for your own shirt. You are free to make adjustments to get the proportions you want. There is no need to follow the instructions exactly. The Pinterest links for all the patterns used are in the description. The first thing to do is to find the pattern of the image you want to place on the back if you want to add one. You can use any material and any crochet hook size depending on your image and your motivation. If the design is very large or very small, it will be up to you to decide which hook size will allow your image to fit across the width of the shirt. You can also make only part of the image if you want. It will create a unique style. Of course, you can also add patterns elsewhere on the shirt if you wish. I strongly recommend using cotton yarn. For this tutorial, so that filming doesn't take too long, I will use a 5.5mm crochet hook and this matching cotton yarn. This shirt is worked top down, so we will build it with Raglan shaping with a built-in collar. The first thing to do if you want a centered image on the back is to find the center of the filet crochet pattern. In the first case, where the center is between two columns, you need to make a foundation chain with a number of chains that is a multiple of 4 plus 1, corresponding to your desired neckline width. In the second case, where the center falls on a column, start with a chain that is a multiple of 4 plus 3, corresponding to your desired neckline width. So to make the process easier, measure first. For me, the neckline width will be 15 centimeters. Then I crochet my chains in groups of 4 and compare as I go to check if I have the correct length. At the end, I add 1 or 3 chains. For my pattern, it will be plus 1 because the center of my image is between 2 columns. Then we add 7 chains. Skip 7 stitches and make a double crochet in the next stitch. Chain 4 and make a double crochet in the same stitch. And we will make the classic filet crochet pattern across the entire chain. Chain 1, skip 1 stitch, double crochet in the next stitch. Repeat all the way across. Chain 1, skip 1 stitch, double crochet in the next stitch. At the end, we will make the symmetrical version of the beginning of the row, so we make 4 chains and 1 double crochet in the same stitch. And once again, 4 chains and a third double crochet in the same stitch. We now have the very first row around which we will build the yoke using a raglan style. We have 4 corners with chain 4 spaces. The logic would suggest making the corner space with 3 chains, but after testing I found that the square before the increase was too narrow. So to keep the harmony and symmetry of the piece, I added 1 extra chain to the corner space. This way, when working into it, we make 1 chain and skip 2 stitches, or 1 double crochet over these 2 chains when making a filled square. Or more simply, consider that the last chain, meaning the first one when working the next row, does not exist. Now let's move on to the second row. We start with 4 chains and turn. We will immediately make a corner. I want to clarify that every corner will be made the same way. I'll show you. Skip 2 stitches in the chain space and make a double crochet in the next stitch. Make 4 chains, then a second double crochet in the same stitch. Continue with the usual filet pattern until the next corner. Chain uno, skip uno stitch, double crochet in the next double crochet stitch. And we are already at another corner, so I make 1 chain, skip 2 stitches, and make a double crochet in the next stitch of the chain space. Make 4 chains and a second double crochet in the same stitch to complete the corner increase, then continue. At the end of the row, of course, after the last chain, skip 2 stitches and make the last double crochet in the next stitch. Make sure you crochet the entire row until the end. It's easy to forget one side because the pattern is the same in every direction. Always check that the piece is symmetrical around the center before starting a new row. Now move on to the next row, which is the same as the previous one. You can start following your image pattern whenever you want, depending on where you want to place it. The third side here is the back side. You will need to keep track of your progress on the chart. I have what I need on my phone, but you can also print the pattern and mark it with a pencil. I put a small mark on the center of my design. Then I count the number of squares on the back side. I have 14, so I divide by 2, which gives me 7. I count this number on the left and right side of my center. And now I know what I need to crochet on the next row. As you probably guessed, the white squares are the empty squares, meaning a chain stitch and a skip stitch. And to make a black square, you simply fill the gap and replace the chain stitch with a double crochet. For each row, you will need to check which filled squares need to be made because, in my case for example, they can also appear on sides 2 and 4. I'll show you how to make a filled square that is located on a corner. You will need to make an increase without chain stitches. This increase without chain stitches is made of 2 double crochets, 1 treble crochet, and 2 double crochets for a total of 5 stitches. If the square just before is filled, make a double crochet in the corner space, then make the 5-stitch increase, always in the 3rd chain of the chain 4 space. And you will continue crocheting this design while building the shirt at the same time. Add as many rows as needed until you reach a height of 9 centimeters. If you're making a plus-size version, you can go up to 11 centimeters. For my version, I reach 9 centimeters on the 6th row. Then we will work in joined rounds around this base to integrate the collar. We will keep these 6 corners. We will crochet it like a hexagon with 6 sides. We will make an even number of rounds closest to the number of rows we have so far. I have 6 rows, so I will make 6 rounds. If your number of rows is odd, simply add one more round to get an even number. We will still make these rounds in 2 parts, meaning the first half will be worked one way and the second half another way. Since I have 6 rounds to make, I will do 3 using the first method and 3 using the second. Let's start with the first one. We start the round the same way until the end of the row. Here we continue with a corner increase. We already know how to do it. Chain 4 and a double crochet in the same stitch. And continue, chain 1, skip 1 stitch, double crochet in the next stitch. There is nothing special to do on this side, no decrease and no increase. This side will become the collar section. To reach the end, make a chain 1, skip 2 stitches and make a double crochet in the 3rd stitch to close the round and position the hook in the middle of the first corner to start the next round. Second round, we always start the same way. Chain 4, turn, and work the round in the opposite direction. We always turn the work at every row, even though we are working in joined rounds. And we finish the round the same way. I'll let you continue until you finish the first half. I have finished my first 3 rounds. For the second half, the beginning and end of the round will no longer be at the tip of the first corner, but aligned in the same place. So we will start with the corner increase. I'll show you the filet collar first. Make 7 chains and turn. And a double crochet in the same stitch. Then continue the round. At the end, close with a slip stitch in the 3rd chain. Continue with the next round. Chain 4, turn, and continue. At the end of the round, close with a slip stitch in the 3rd chain again, and repeat for all remaining rounds. By the way, in the second half, you can absolutely make the collar section using only filled squares, meaning only double crochets. We already know how to make filled squares. I start with a filled corner square, so I make increases, chain 2, which counts as the first double crochet. double crochet, treble crochet, and 2 double crochets in the same stitch. Feel free to place a stitch marker in the treble crochet stitch if you are worried about not being able to identify it, because we will make the increases there on the next row. We come back to the filet pattern after the second increase. At the end of the round, close with a slip stitch at the top of the 2 chains from the beginning of the round. If the first round of the second half is worked in the opposite direction, we do not make the increase. You need to start with chain 4, turn, skip 1 stitch, and continue as usual. Make the filled squares with double crochets starting from the 5th increase. Finish with an increase made of 2 double crochets, 1 treble crochet, and 1 double crochet, then close the round with a slip stitch in the 3rd chain from the beginning of the round. The second round, chain 4 and turn. Work the round in the opposite direction, and as soon as you reach the collar section, make 1 double crochet in each stitch. And make the same increases in the central treble crochet stitches, 2 double crochets, 1 treble crochet, and 2 double crochets. Of course, at the end of the row, close with a slip stitch in the 3rd chain from the beginning of the round. The 3rd round, I start with chain 2, which counts as the first double crochet. And let's go. Just in case you didn't notice, I use chain 2 as the first double crochet of the round when I work in the collar direction. In the opposite direction, I close with a slip stitch in the 3rd chain from the beginning of the round. This means the first double crochet of each round is made with chain 2 every other time, and with chain 3 the other times. Now I have my 6 rounds. The built-in collar is finished. From here, we go back to working open rows like in the first part. First thing to do is place a stitch marker on the stitch symmetrical to the beginning of the row. Carefully count the number of stitches or squares from the edge. You already know how to do it. Chain 4, skip 1 stitch, double crochet in the next stitch. If you made a solid collar, you don't even need a stitch marker. You can immediately see where to stop. Make as many rows as needed to reach your desired yoke height. Feel free to try it on as you go. The width of the rectangle will become the sleeve opening, and the length will become the wingspan. The sleeve circumference is almost reached, knowing that we will crochet a built-in gusset, which will add even more width to the sleeve opening, so I can now make increases to add the gussets underneath the sleeves. On the last row, mark 4 double crochet stitches symmetrically aligned with the underarms, leaving a little extra space. We will make corner increases in these 4 marked stitches to have 8 corners in total. And yes, wherever we go, the octagon is always around the corner. I reached the first marker. And I will make a corner increase. I make a double crochet, chain 4, and a second double crochet in the same stitch. That's it. Then continue. Do exactly the same thing for the next 3 marked stitches. We now have 8 corners. Add rows with 8 corners while trying it on from time to time to see if you can connect the underarm sections. With the materials I am using, judging by the height of my rows, and of course after trying it on, I will make my joining row on the second 8-corner row. If you are using a smaller hook below 4 millimeters, you may need to make the joining row on the 3rd, 4th, or 5th 8-corner row. You will need to try it on or measure to be sure. The thickness of the built-in gusset can vary depending on the size. As usual, this joining is done on a final joining row. Start the row as usual until the 3rd corner. After the first double crochet of the increase in the 3rd corner space, make a chain 1, then a slip stitch into the 3rd chain of the previous corner space to close the sleeve opening. Chain 2 and complete the increase with a second double crochet in the same stitch. Then pull the loop through the stitch of the opposite double crochet on the right panel. Chain 1, skip 1 stitch, and double crochet in the next stitch. And connect to the right panel by pulling the loop through the stitch of the opposite double crochet. Continue this way. After connecting the first double crochet of the 4th corner increase, make chain 2. Slip stitch into the second chain of the right panel's corner space. Chain 1 and double crochet in the same stitch to complete the increase. We have finished joining the first to sleeve. Do exactly the same thing to close the second sleeve. Starting the connection at the 7th corner. You can rewind the video if needed. Now you just need to add the length you want to the body of the shirt and continue your pattern to finish your design. If you want the same fitted effect as the purple version, simply make a decrease at the beginning and end of the row on the following rows when the two front panels meet. There are several ways to make a decrease at the beginning and end of a row. I'll show you one of them. Chain 2, which counts as half of the first double crochet. Start the next double crochet and finish both together. It counts as one stitch for the next row. Continue the pattern. The same applies at the end of the row. Start the first double crochet without finishing it. Start the last double crochet and finish both together. Another name for this decrease is two double crochets joined together. For the border of the purple shirt, I make a chain 1 to start the row, then turn. Then I make a single crochet in each stitch. For the corners, I make a single crochet, a chain 1, then a second single crochet in the same stitch. For the stitch that creates the point where the decreases begin, I make an increase in it. At the end, I make the second single crochet in the first stitch, chain 1, and close the border round with a slip stitch into the stitch of the very first single crochet. For the border of the white shirt, I will go down 1 hook size. This is not necessary. Actually, I think I shouldn't have done it because I feel the border became too narrow. So I will use a 4.5 millimeters hook and a black yarn with the same diameter thickness as the white yarn I used for the body of the shirt. I start in one of the bottom corners of the shirt. I simply alternate between a single crochet in the space and a chain stitch, meaning it is offset compared to the filet crochet pattern. For the corner, I make a single crochet, 2 chains, and a single crochet. Then I continue. For the collar corner, to make it more pointed, I make 2 single crochets, 2 chains, and 2 single crochets. Then I continue as usual. At the end, I make the single crochet, 2 chains, and a slip stitch to close the round. I make another slip stitch to secure it. Then I cut the yarn, pull it through, and all that remains is to weave in the ends. There are no corners on the sleeves, so it is easier. Make sure to follow the washing instructions for your yarn so that the colors do not bleed into each other. And there you go. Thank you so much for following this tutorial until the end. I hope everything was clear and that you enjoyed it. Feel free to tell me what you thought in the comments or ask any questions if needed. See you soon. See you soon. See you soon.